Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today is get the truck ready for a trip adventure type episode. Not an adventure, but it's a shop adventure. I am going to take a long trip. I am going to do a one week endeavor. It's from the end of school starting back up. That's what's going on. So I got a class that ends on a certain day of the week, and it's a week later, and I have that time in between to pull off a 2,000 mile trip. How many kilometers is that? 2,000 times 1.6. Yeah, that's 3,200 kilometers in roughly 7 days. Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not the time schedule I'd like, but that's what the calendar allows. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna be headed up to Idaho is the main stop. Old buddy of mine is hosting a campground up there, and I'm gonna go see him for 3 nights. But I have stops on the way. My first stop is in it's around Fillmore, Utah. It's connected. Fillmore is connected to the Paiute ATV trails. They're 80-inch trails cut for quads like mine. There's like 2,300 miles worth of trails up there. It's really nice country. I'm planning to do a ride one evening or early morning. Not sure how it's going to pan out, but it's about a 60-mile round trip ride on the quad. And it's from Fillmore to Richfield and back. I'm going to camp out on the Fillmore side and then continue on up, and then coming back I'm going to drop down through Moab, maybe get into the Arches National Park and visit the Trailmater YouTube channel, see if they're there. If they're not, they're not. I'm kind of on a schedule, so it'll be kind of cool to meet those guys, and if I don't, it's okay, maybe next time or another time. But just wanted to show you what I get ready on the truck when I do a 2,000 mile road trip. The last road trip was a little over that, or pretty close to that. It was actually went up to West Yellowstone. It was when the transmission was first done. I did not YouTube that. That was another marathon. I may not YouTube the actual trip, but I'll YouTube some of the highlights. I'll probably do the quad ride sometime in camp, and a little bit of Moab, Trailmater, Arches, see how that goes. But not gonna do a one giant video. Too much footage, too much snake on the beach stuff. Not even gonna try. I do want to enjoy the trip, but it's kind of a vagabond trip. I have one hotel for one night in Moab, but the rest of the nights are on the side of the road in the tent. So I did already get the truck serviced. The truck gets its annual oil change and got somebody just walked into my yard picking my fruit. Not that I mind, but if you do ask, I will say yes, but don't just wander into my yard. Yeah, I don't mind people taking my fruit off my trees, just ask. But whatever, if you need it more than I do, good luck to you. So anyway, the truck is ready. I took a lot of stuff out. I do carry like dunnage and lumber in case I get stuck, but this is pretty much a 99% pavement trip. So I'm not taking any of this. I'm not planning on getting stuck. Famous last words. Only thing on the back of it is the ramp, my canopy sticks, my canopy in there. Obviously my tables. I'm even debating on pulling this fireplace grid out. And one chair, going solo. It's a solo trip. The family will be in Taiwan and I'm not going because I got school and I got work and all sorts of stuff, and I can't be gone that long. And but try to make the most of it, so I'm gonna do this trip, see my buddy. But anyway, quad's been serviced. Got oil filter changed finally. Cleaned the air filter in it, changed the oil. Got the APRS, which is the ham radio location beacon thingy, if you know APRS in the ham world. Had to put a bigger antenna on it, because it's actually the quad that reports, not the truck. I do have a magnetic GPS antenna on it, because the GPS antenna that's on the receiver, it doesn't see past the tent. So I kind of rigged that way it reports on my road trip. That's about it. I finally torqued in the spark plug so it doesn't pop out again, if you remember that episode. Got, the big one, I took the cooler off the back of the truck. So, because I'm going to be unloading the quad quite often, and I don't want that much crap. The only thing really is just my 2 bins and this tarp that's got to come out to unload the quad. Not much going on. The cooler is now located behind the passenger seat, which is usually space for one of the kids, but not on this trip. So there's the cooler. I'm taking the Onyx for the tent because I am going to be in camp. I want the extra private room, that's the piece that hangs off the bottom of the tent. You'll see that on the trip video. That's about it for that. But the mechanical things that I check, you know, the obvious: check your belts, check your fluids. This truck is simple, has 3 belts, which I prefer over a serpentine belt, because if you lose one pulley on a serpentine belt, you lose the whole engine. This one has 3 belts, has an alternator belt, has a power steering belt, and the middle one is the air conditioning belt. You can't see it, but the air conditioning pump's way down there. And the water pump on this truck is driven by the timing belt. So this thing obviously had a timing belt kit put with the original OEM pulleys and belt. This was done a couple years ago. It's way fine, not gonna mess with it. I do carry a spare pump. I do carry a spare belt. And pulleys, I got the old set that I took off the truck on the truck under the seat. This is a non-interference motor, so if I do drop the timing belt for whatever reason, it's not going to blow the engine up. I can always put the old one back on or something. But anyway, you got the belts. Obviously, you check your oil. I filled it full. Topped it off to the full mark. Usually I don't. I just put the 5 quarts in, but it holds a little more than 5. But because on the long road trip I do burn oil in this thing does have 200,000 miles on it. It uses a tiny bit, but we'll see what it is when I come back. But I don't think it'll be below the safe mark. The power steering fluid, it's got in it, it's on the cold side because I haven't ran it. I did move it, but it's not warm. The air filter's been serviced. It's I run a K&N, and I did service it. So I washed it. It's ready to go. Just like that. The coolant. Check the radiator when it's cold. Check the bottle. A lot of people check the bottle. They say, well, I had coolant, but I still overheated. Well, no, you check the bottle. And the bottle is just the overflow. I use the hose as a dipstick, so I know there's stuff in it. I did top off the bottle a little bit ago. But mainly you want to know if there's water in your radiator. So I did start this up earlier to move it, but you could tell it's full. That's it. The battery is the battery. This battery's old, still works. I could service it a little bit. I got stuff going on there. Probably throw some baking soda on it. Probably do have some in here, but I don't care if the battery dies. It's something I can replace on the road. I have 2 other camping batteries in the back, so I can jump start myself. But right now this battery is doing okay, not gonna mess with it. But that's it under the hood. You know, brake fluid's full. I checked the clutch fluid, it's good too. Everything's tight. So under the truck, I want to raise it a little bit. Normally I wouldn't raise it normally, but with the taller tires I can get like all the way under it. But with these Desert Donuts, there's one of the tall tires, the 31s. These are the 28s. And I am driving on the Desert Donuts, the 28-inch street wheels, because it is 2,000 miles and I am not going to burn up the knobbies. It rides so much better on the street wheels, get better mileage. It being a 99% highway trip, why not burn these off? Anyway, I'm gonna get under the truck here. All right, under the truck, the things we check for is anything obvious, bolts. The main part is you got the bottom ball joints. Now on these, there's bolts. You could see these is a commonplace on the Toyotas that come apart, but mine is the truck version, and mine has bolts, not the nuts. If you have a 4Runner, I think you have studded nuts. Mine has the bolts, so you make sure that these aren't coming off. If you got the nuts, you know, you want to make sure they're tight. This is one side. Check for the CV boots. This one was replaced a couple years ago because it's a whole new shaft. Steering, want to make sure your rack and pinion is not falling off the vehicle. Same thing with your steering coupler. Make sure all the bolts are in, nothing's coming loose. Clutch cylinder, make sure it's on there. Exhaust, still rusted on, not going anywhere. You know, all the ball joints, rubbers are okay. Even if it was torn, I wouldn't be changing it at this point. I would just run it. Check for obvious leaks. Then your drive shafts, make sure your drive shaft bolts are on, like all of them. Make sure it's not loose. Same thing on the rear one, make sure your bolts are in there. And then the center bearing, make sure the bolts are in on everything. And I'll get to the back piece. Gas tank is in. This one's actually, you can see how my gas tank is punched in. This whole thing's been pushed up because I high centered on it, and I actually like it this way. I get more ground clearance now, and the gas tank reads better. I can read the bottom empty. I can't see the 5 top gallons in the tank, which is fine, but I can see all the way down to when I run out, which is really good. And then check the leaf spring bolts. I'll get to the back. There's the fuel filter. It's been changed a couple years ago. Make sure there's no leaks. Parking brake, not falling off. No obvious leaks, which is good. This front transfer case seal was replaced a couple years ago. And we'll check the other side. Check the bolts on the other side here. Make sure they're not coming off. They look good. They haven't moved. Same thing, ball joints. This ball joint is teared a little bit, but it's got to be replaced, but it's still good. The main problems are the bottom ones. The bottom ones have been replaced on this. I replaced them 2 years ago. The boots are good. Not too concerned with those. Make sure I got the bolts in the check the bolts for the struts, the nuts on top, make sure nothing's coming loose, and then make sure the bottom one's not coming out. There's the 3 top ones here, big one down here. Everything looks okay. If you have locking hubs, manual locking hubs, make sure they're not falling off. They are known to fall off. I just make sure that I can't spin the lock washer. These aren't sticking out. You could see I lost one bolt already. I had to replace it. These are Loctited now, so it's all good. The brakes have been changed. Running the old Duralast pads. You get under here. Check all the leaf spring bolts, airbag bolts, clamps. The 4 down here are on there. All of these are on. This guy's on. Other side is in there. Same thing. Also, at one point I lost these bolts out of the bottom of the shock, so it's good to check both of those, the upper and the lower. Check all of the driveline bolts. You know, they're in there. The wiring connectors, no visible oil leaks or brake leaks. That wheel's dry. You know, everything is looking okay. It's I put the other spare on. That's the donut spare, which that wheel matches the 15-inch wheels, the 15-inch rims with the 28-inch tires. That way, if I do trash one of these tires, I have a matching wheel to run back. I don't want to be lopsided for 1,000 miles down the freeway. But that's about it. It's about all this stuff I get ready. The quad, same thing. Make sure it does have a 60-mile trek ahead of it, plus some. I'm gonna ride from camp. Not sure how far that's gonna go, but I'm missing one lug nut on the quad. I gotta go buy it. I don't have one. But that's it. It's about ready. I will see you on the road at some point, or if there's another adventure in between then, which I doubt it. It's times are tight. I got other things going on, kid parties, pool parties, you know, life. Anyway, shop's been stopped for quite a bit. I did do some rock slider work for a friend. I got another friend that actually he bought a 2021 4Runner. We modified some rock sliders for it. Somebody put one of those granny rock sliders on it with the steps. We cut the steps off, so it looks much better now. But anyway, got another friend bought a 2024 4Runner. That's gonna get some mods done to it. Probably be participating in some of that. But anyway, that's it. Old Benz is still rolling. Took it up to Ramona yesterday. It was doing good. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and until next time.